Good morning, everybody. I'm going to place out a new message in a bottle. So I think it was kind of very interesting. And as I said in my last videos, this is just my way to exhale and throw my message in a bottle out there into the internet of the ocean of the internet. Um, so I find it interesting, and I always say, well, I don't always say, but sometimes I don't like to be right about things. But in my last message in a bottle, I talked about magazine covers, Time magazine in specific, and had mentioned that they had put Hitler on there at one point, which was just, person of the year. How crazy, right? And I said they don't always get things right. And lo and behold, wow, who do they put as person of the year? Zelensky? Wow. I don't know what. I have no words for that one. Um, Anybody that wants to believe the mainstream media at this point or publications, um, wow, I say just do your research, be a free thinker, and find out what is going on. Um, Unfortunately, I've said that we're in World War III, in my opinion. People won't say that we're in World War III, just like they didn't in World War II, in World War One. They didn't define them until after it was over. If that makes any sense. So they can tell you how it started, they can tell you how it ended, but they don't really tell you in the middle while you're fighting it because I don't know why. But currently, I mean, and here we go. It's almost like a repetitive thing, almost, what, 80 years later, 90 years later. So Hitler, and now we got Zelensky on the cover of Time magazine. I think that is awful. That's what I think. Um, so we have that going on. So I again hope people are paying attention. Over the last week, I like to watch the news, think about things, read read a lot, have a lot of discussions. And one thing I've seen a lot of is, oh, now this is weird. Now, only if you watch a conservative channel or you participate in a public forum, like Twitter, mind you. I was off Twitter for the longest time. I just went back on as of late, more for curiosity to see what was being said, what was being shared, blah, blah. Had no idea the Twitter files were coming out. But now that 3 drops have occurred, the Twitter files, if you don't know what they are, you again can research. You can go on Twitter and you can read them. So basically, what ended up happening is Elon Musk buys this company for $44 billion. Being the richest man in the world. Was it worth $44 billion? Hell no. Everybody knows that. Will he make it worth $44 billion? Probably. I mean, the guy's magic. It seems to be when it comes to changing the course of history when it comes to technologies. So I'll be very curious to see what he does with it. But in the meantime, he did get a hold of a lot of information that was stored. Unbelievable what was left because they had a lot of time to delete. So God only knows what they deleted prior to him getting his hands on things. But it's real interesting. So he's been talking a lot about it on his Twitter. He has given it to a different party to review and post. It's been several different people, so that I find that to be interesting. So I think he is also looking for different voices, different opinions, different avenues of maybe looking at things, right? So in the oh, wow, it's exposing. So a lot of people that would say, "Oh, conspiracy theorists," well, maybe not so much. A lot of the proof is in the pudding, and Elon has allowed for that information to be shared. So interesting is that Twitter has, they're reporting anyways, more users than ever, more activity than ever. And of course, you have one side of the aisle saying that, oh, Twitter has now become, this horrible place with horrible language and all this stuff being said. I personally haven't seen it. Maybe it's out there. I'm sure it always is. It always, evil exists. So therefore, I'm sure somebody posts something bad or stupid or, just not nice. I'm sure it happens. But like I said, I haven't. I guess it maybe depends on who you follow. So I don't do a lot of follows. I do more reading than I do following. Um, but it's interesting that he's done 3 drops, and it clearly shows interference in our 2020 election. It shows how these large media companies, um, So when you look at interfered and blocked information, whereas people trusted this as like the public forum, and it turns out not to be. It turned out that it was being censored. You were being censored. I was being censored. Everybody was being censored. Um, but you get so many people saying, "Oh, I'm leaving Twitter now that Elon took over." Really? Why? I don't really understand that. You got advertisers that are saying they're going to leave Twitter because um, Elon bought it. You got Apple who threatened to start pulling advertisement dollars because Elon bought it. What are they all so afraid of? If Twitter was such a great thing and nothing was wrong and they were all okay using it before, why are they not okay using it now? Again, I always ask the question why. Now, a lot of people may say, "Go, what are the Twitter files?" And I think that's going to be the majority of people that may watch this and say, "Hey, what are you even talking about?" And the reason I say that is, so conservative outlets like Fox or Fox Radio, yeah, those are probably the two biggest, and then certainly Twitter itself, with Elon at the helm, dropped Twitter files. They've been talking about all of the things that have occurred, the lies that we were told, um, people that were perjured in Congress. I mean, they perjured themselves, saying that they didn't do the shadow banning, that they didn't decrease volumes, that they didn't do all these things that affected information flow, whether it be about the Hunter Biden laptop, whether it was a message just from a conservative politician. Um, they all said it didn't happen, but lo and behold, there are tons and tons. Not just like it's not just said, not just tweets. I'm talking emails that he has published, that he is allowed to be published, that clearly show um, that these people that people were interfering in our election, which is just crazy. But the mainstream media, as always, um, the top three, guess what? You know how many minutes they gave? Zero. So if you're watching your mainstream media, um, they're not telling you about the Twitter files. They're not telling you the truth. They don't want you to know the truth because they're a part of it. They're a part of the machine. It's that simple. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, but again, you get back to this thing where, again, I hate the word brainwash, but people are literally, I think, brainwashed to either fight one way for one side or fight for the other. And I don't get it. It's like, why not just listen to the information um, and make an educated decision for yourself? Is if you think Elon got a hold of the company, right, and released the information, and you think he's lying, it's like, for what purpose? Ask why again. And it's boy, and a lot of it now in the last drop, it talks about you're talking about all of our major alphabet companies and organizations within our government that participate in this. So I even tweeted off to President Trump this morning, like, so all these people that reported to you, or to the executive branch, people that he should have been able to trust, um, participated in possibly, was it throwing an election? Was it definitely was misinformation on their part, not against the Democrat, but against President Trump. So I don't know. Not saying. Also said, where President Trump this past week, he put on his little Truth Social thing that he should be reinstated and all that. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works. We have a constitution. Was there something very wrong in our elections? Yeah, it certainly seems. I would absolutely believe that there was definitely something wrong in our elections, the way they were held, the way it was communicated, the things that we were told or not told, right? The things that are going on with President Biden currently and his family, you just got to go, wow. But if you're not hearing about it, you're not saying, oh, wow. Like, so I just don't understand why people aren't more interested in what affects their lives. If you don't think the president of the United States affects your life, I mean, just look what happened this past week. You got a WNBA star that was exchanged for a war crimes criminal I don't even know how that works. That was USA and Russia, and that was a deal made. And the what we're being told when we listen to Jean Pierre was that it was Brittany Griner or nobody. Yeah, and that literally, that doesn't make any sense. We're the United States of America. We're supposed to be the strongest country in the world. We're supposed to have all this power, and yet Russia dictated the terms. They get a war criminal back, the arms dealer that has been responsible for supplying arms to so many places around the world that create conflict, and it killed U.S. soldiers and was tried in court and convicted. And that's who we exchanged for a WNBA player who doesn't even respect our country. Doesn't stand for the anthem. I don't know. I don't get it. She is an American, so therefore, if we're all Americans, then we should protect each other, and therefore she should come home. But do we leave a Marine behind? And there is, and that's what a lot of people are talking about that nobody's hearing. Is there's a gentleman who served in the Marines. He retired and has been wrongfully imprisoned in Russia, and he's still stuck in Russia, and because he was not part of the prisoner swap. So I think people, again, ought to think about it. When they say there is a separation and divisiveness in our country, and you talk about people that are either liberal or conservative, again, I talk about this all the time. I don't agree in either side that should be extremists. I mean, that's what they are. I mean, we get extremists to the left, extremists to the right, and those people are just, they're fringe. They're not the 99% of us. But yet they get the most amount of attention, and our country is making decisions based on that fringe, which is pretty scary to me because I think the populace is what should be making decisions, not the fringe. But it is the other way around, in my opinion, in this country currently. So there's a lot of stuff going on this week. Again, so you have that. Haven't seen any movement on Governor Abbott as far as the Texas state of declaration of invasion. So I'm kind of interesting to see what happens with that. Another thing that was really interesting was Kristen Sinema, senator, decides she's going to go independent, but she's still going to caucus with the Democrats. So I don't know what the hell that changes. Political ploy. That's all I can figure. I mean, vote with Democrats, you're a Democrat. I mean, that's just how it's working. I mean, it's how you caucus. I mean, it's just a big, giant game. Not a big fan of anybody that wants to play that game. I wish they all would become independent. Problem is, when they become independent, they lose resources, and that being money. So I think, in my opinion, I mean, that's it. So I've said in my other messages in the bottle, donate to a person for a campaign. Do not donate to a party, because when the party gets the money, they control where the money goes. And so you got somebody like, that they want to become an independent, well, they no longer have the resources unless they pledge their vote. How crazy is that? So I have to pledge my vote to vote the way you want me to vote. So, I mean, that's not an independent thinker. That's not Democrat. That's not Republican. That's controlled. Crazy. So, there's another big one. Like I said, that was out in the news this week. There was just so much. And a lot of people, so some people do ask, like, why do I only put these out generally on Saturdays? I have a job, right? So, work during the week, and I happen to have some time on Saturday mornings. And again, I like to take in information, digest it, and then express it. So there was a lot of things that I hope people are paying attention to, that I just know that the majority of people aren't getting the information because it's not being posted out there. It's not being shared by the mainstream media, and people don't want to know the truths. Again, do I agree with... I don't see anything in our Constitution that says we can't take out President Biden and put President Trump in, and it's just not. And I hear people talk about it. I shouldn't say here. I should read it, and it's just, that's not. Unfortunately, that's not how our Constitution was written. So not going to happen. And I hope people don't believe in that or get led down that path, because there's no legal recourse for that. Unfortunately, elections, certification is certification, and then you move on. Now, could you vote to impeach somebody? Sure. But that doesn't put the other one back in. That just impeaches the current one. Do I believe that should happen? I guess that'll be another message in a bottle for another time. Yeah, so yeah, don't get caught up in the far right or far right. Don't get caught up in the far left. Uh, be a free thinker and protect yourselves from a lot of misinformation, which is when somebody it's like when people say there's a white lie, it's kind of like you're not giving the whole truth, but it's still a lie, right? And so people say, well, it was just meant to protect because I didn't want to tell them the whole truth. Well, protect who? We're not children. We're grown adults. We're entrusted to cast a vote to people in power um, to govern our country, to make decisions. A lot of times that result in life and death. And yeah, I think everything should be shared with us. So I hope people do the research. Well, I hope you all have a blessed day. There's a lot of things going on, so I might put out another one. But for now, I think 15 minutes is a good conversation. I appreciate all the comments. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. This way, you're notified when I do put one out. If you like what you're hearing, or you're just curious what I'm saying. But again, God bless you all. Have a great day.